Summer Game Fest has taken the gaming world by storm, with huge new games announced, gameplay for upcoming titles, and loads to talk about. This is the new E3, and let me tell you, I am very excited after all the showcases because it is a great time to be a gamer. Here are my top 5 games from Summer Game Fest 2023. The first game on my list is Fable. The hit fantasy franchise is returning with a massive reboot, and apparently Richard Ayoade. Who knew? The CGI trailer looked really stunning. I was totally guessing what it was throughout the whole thing. I loved the narration over it. I loved the concept of it. And then to sort of see that Jack and the Beanstalk sort of vibe to it, I'm like, I'm here for this. It had lovely humor, interesting concept. It's got that Fable legacy about it. And Richard Ayoade, for whatever reason, is the main antagonist? Question mark?
This is awkward.
Whatever this game might be, I am super excited. It just looked absolutely stunning from the trailer we got. I love this concept. It could be stealth, it could be a bit of action, it could be a bit of both. I'm very interested to see what they do with this, and I can't wait to see in-depth gameplay. The second game on my list is Avowed, the new RPG coming from Obsidian. Supposedly this will be more akin to Outer Worlds in terms of scale. It's got an interesting fantasy combat. Obsidian make really good RPGs, so I'm interested to see what they do with this. I'm always a bit skeptical when it comes to new fantasy IPs, but I trust Obsidian's process and their RPG skill set to really make a fantastic fantasy RPG. We got a good amount of gameplay from the showcase. We got a good amount of story info as to what this game could be about. This game is also going to be set in the Pillars of Eternity universe, which is really interesting. So there is that deep lore already present. There might be some connections to the Pillars games, but apparently we don't have to have played those games to understand what's going on in Avowed, which is great. So even though it's technically a new fantasy IP, technically it's set in a grounded foundation with its Pillars of Eternity universe. It looks like we could be making choices in the game with the whole concept of forging our own destiny. There's a few dialogue lines in the trailer that sort of indicate that we could be good or bad, and we get to make that choice. But the gameplay elements look really interesting with the mix of magic and fantasy medieval combat. I'm definitely interested in this game to see what it's like. The third game on my list is Starfield. This is Bethesda's big baby. They are talking big on this sci-fi RPG, which has apparently had a universe that is 25 years in the making. Sounds about right for Bethesda because it feels like it's been 25 years since The Elder Scrolls V.
Someone stole your sweet roll.
I will say though, Starfield does look very good. I'm still a little bit skeptical because of Bethesda, but there was a huge showcase at the end of the Xbox showcase. There was tons of new details about the game, tons of new footage for the game. It's great to see them actually showing it properly now. And a lot of my skepticism has gone down drastically after Starfield Direct, which was the deep dive gameplay showcase at the end of the Xbox showcase. A lot of the concepts they've come up for this game, all the different elements coming together, it does look like the next big thing. I'm hoping it's that. Bethesda always talk big on their RPGs. Sometimes they deliver, sometimes they don't. But I'm very keen to see where this goes, because if it does deliver on everything it's promising, everything it showed off, this genuinely could be the next big sci-fi RPG. Even just the next big RPG in general. We're getting a lot of new RPGs coming out of the door, and Bethesda obviously have a track record of making some pretty goddamn good ones, even if they kind of forget about them. We're never going to get Elder Scrolls 6, are we? But Starfield does look very interesting. I'm very keen to see more of this game, see how people react to it, see what the reviews are like, and to see if Bethesda talking big about this game really does pay off. The second game on my list is Dragon's Dogma 2, The Return of the Heart-Eating Dragon. That's not its official title, but it should be. I absolutely adored the first Dragon's Dogma. I played it twice. First when it originally came out on the PS3, and then again when it sort of got remade for PC. This third-person action RPG is going to be absolutely huge if it's anything like the first one. Although I still feel like the first Dragon's Dogma was sort of like a cult classic. It wasn't like huge, but I mean, come on. The first one, as soon as you open the game, got into the menu, it played some pop rock goddamn intro, and genuinely, 13-year-old me was hyped. And I'm hyped again at 23 years of age for the second game. It does look like it's going to be sort of the same concept. You might be the Arisen again, sort of the dragon eating your heart. But I'm very interested to see what connections it might have with the first game. There'll be old and new monsters, as we've seen in the trailer. There's going to be no co-op or multiplayer as far as I know, which is much like the first game, but it's still very exciting. I'm sure they'll have that online connectivity through the pawn system, which are your in-game companions that you can bring bring out and customize. Capcom have been doing really well recently. Just as a publisher, as game developers, it's been really exciting to see games coming from Capcom. Street Fighter with Monster Hunter, it's all been top tier from Capcom lately, and I think it will be again with Dragon's Dogma 2. Before I get to number 1 on my list, I would like to honorably mention Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7, Mortal Kombat 1, Frostpunk 2, and Clockwork Revolution. There were a ton of new games that got announced and shown off at the Summer Game Fest throughout the various different showcases. There's a lot to deep dive into, so I just thought I'd mention a couple of games that I am still excited for but didn't quite make the top 5. Although I will say, I just played the Final Fantasy 16 demo on PS5. It might have won me over. Honestly, yeah, goddamn, it is a dark Final Fantasy, man. It's like Game of Thrones mixed with Attack on Titan. It's ridiculous. Number 1 on my list is obviously Star Wars Outlaws. Now, obviously, I edit for Bombastic as one of his editors on the main channel. So I'm covering this game a lot as it's coming out, as info's coming out, and I will be for the coming months / year that it's coming, with it not coming out until 2024. But this open world Star Wars game is shaping up to be one of the biggest releases for next year. It's going to be covering the crime syndicates in the Star Wars universe. It's going to be open world. There's going to be space combat, land combat, rideable vehicles. There's going to be stealth elements, and you're going to be playing as a smuggler. So we'll be getting a much more gritty feeling Star Wars story, I feel. It will still be somewhat fantastical being in the Star Wars universe, but having that timeline be set in between what looks to be Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, especially with Han Solo in Carbonite being shown off in the cinematic trailer. I am very excited for this game. What I wasn't expecting was 10 to 11 minutes of gameplay. I thought cinematic trailer, it's announced, Ubisoft's finally shown off what they're making in terms of the Star Wars game that they've been going on about for a while, but we got to deep dive into some gameplay, and oh boy, it does genuinely look good. It looks like a mix of Red Dead, GTA, bit of Saints Row maybe, and just melding it all together into a Star Wars video game, and I'm so excited for this one. This has to be number 1 for me. I'm going to be working on it a lot. I'm going to be covering it a lot on my channel, and then obviously editing for other channels that are covering it. Our companion is going to be a BX Commando droid with a trench coat. I mean, come the hell on. I'm very excited to see how open world it actually is. We got to see a little bit of that in the gameplay showcase. We got to see you riding on a speeder bike. We got to see you go into the ship and seamlessly transition into space and then hyperspace out to another planet. So depending on how many planets there are and how big these planets will be in terms of exploration, will really set this game apart from perhaps even Jedi Survivor in terms of scale. And those are my top 5 games from Summer Game Fest, with some honorable mentions because there were too many good games. Let me know in the comments down below what you were excited about from Summer Game Fest, any games you might have seen that you weren't expecting. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe for more gaming content. We got a lot of Diablo 4 going on at the moment on the channel. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.